Hi, I'm Kalki, and you might know me as the Bollywood actor, but I'm also the presenter of My Indian Life for the BBC World Service. Now, we bring you some really amazing stories, and I'm very excited because they're really your lives in the 21st century. And I know you're going to love season 3, so please tell us what you think and also leave your stories behind for us in the comments. I hope you enjoy listening to this episode as much as I enjoyed making it. Avni's family were on the road again, traveling from Jaipur to Dholpur to start a new life in a new city for her dad's job as an officer in the Rajasthan Administrative Services. It was a 5-hour journey through a landscape of golden sand dunes and mountains, and they were excited for another fresh start. It was the winter of 2012, and Avni was 10 years old. She was sleeping in the back seat of the car as her father drove, when suddenly
I think something came from the front and my father tried to save it, save the car from it, and he turned left or right and the car toppled 3-4 times.
Her father, mother, brother, and her cousin, all of them sustained serious injuries, but Avni's were the most severe. Her next memory was in the hospital.
When I woke up, I was sleeping, so then I woke up from the accident, and when I woke up, I couldn't feel my legs.
Avni's spinal cord had been injured so badly that she was paralyzed from the waist down.
I don't have motor power and sensation below my waist.
It was a life-changing accident, which left Avni and her family devastated. Before, she had been an introverted child, but she loved to dance and sing. How would the family cope with this cruel turn of fate? How would she cope? But we can never underestimate the human spirit. Fast forward 3 years, and Avni had taken up a sport, rifle shooting. She loved it, and she was good at it. So good that a few years on, she was representing her country at the Paralympics. She was the first Indian woman to win a Paralympic gold medal. You have heard of Avni Lekra, right? This is the story of a young woman who accepted the cards that her life dealt her and used them to win. I'm Kalki Keklam. From the BBC World Service, this is Kalki Presents My Indian Life, the podcast about being young and Indian in the 21st century. Season 3, Episode 4, Bullseye. After the accident, Avni had to learn how to live a different life. She says she felt like a newborn baby trying to discover the world and how to live all over again.
I had a spinal cord surgery, and then I was on bed rest for 6-7 months. And then, learning how to sit, how to make balance, how to live a life on a wheelchair, all those things, yeah. It was very new for a 10-11-year-old kid.
Avni was homeschooled for 2 years, and her parents grew extremely protective of her.
They were always walking on shells around me, we don't want to say something or do something which might hurt her. So they were very scared about that.
But after 2 years of being at home, Avni decided she was ready for a change.
I was okay, it's not like the end of the world, and I don't want to live like that.
Stepping out of the comfort of her home presented a whole set of new challenges. She was especially afraid of meeting people.
I didn't like going out at that time. I used to, always stay in my room. I didn't like talking much, and I was so nervous to even go to the school, and my parents were more nervous than me because they were if some kid made fun of her or something like that, how are we going to handle it?
Whenever she was outside in Jaipur, people stared at her a lot.
Like they have seen some alien or something like that.
And going to, say, a restaurant was also challenging because first they had to find out if there was an elevator at the restaurant, then if the washroom can be accessed on a wheelchair. Her parents also found it difficult to find a school that had accessible classrooms for a child using a wheelchair.
Because a lot of, you can say famous or nice schools or something like private schools, they don't usually have accessible classrooms and accessible infrastructure. So getting in the schools was very difficult. Plus, some schools even said that we don't want to shift our classes to ground floor for just one student. Some were like, what if something happens to her? We will not be liable for it, and we don't want to go. Like with the disabled kid.
Avni's parents did find a school that accepted their daughter, and it also had infrastructure that was accessible. And slowly, things got better. Avni started to open up and make new friends. After her first year in the school, Avni's father suggested that she try playing a sport during her summer vacations. This felt like an absurd suggestion because before the accident, Avni never liked sports. Her father asked her if she'd at least try archery or rifle shooting. There was a shooting range right next to their house in Jaipur. After a lot of persuasion, Avni decided to try archery. She joined an archery camp just to humor her father, but it didn't go well.
Because I was not that strong, I couldn't stretch the bow properly, and the arrows were not even going halfway, they were just falling down. And it was an outdoor event, so I was like, I don't want to do this.
Her father, though, was not giving up. He asked if she wanted to try shooting. Avni was reluctant again. She was worried that she wouldn't be able to even lift the rifle.
I lifted the rifle with help, and I tried some shots and they were pretty decent. They were in the black circle.
What Avni means by the black circle is the center of the concentric circles, the bullseye.
So the coach that was there, he said that, okay, you can try this. You can see if you really want to do more of this, and I can help you with that. My father, he got excited. Okay, you should try this.
Avni, however, didn't want to continue.
The rifle at that time, it was 4.5 kgs, and you have to lift it on yourself and then shoot it. And I couldn't even balance it properly, and it was too heavy for me.
She just didn't feel strong enough, and it was daunting.
I was like, if I don't shoot good, people will make fun of me or something like that. So I was like, I don't want to do this.
But with her father's encouragement, she kept going anyway. And her teachers were behind her too. A few months later, they entered her in an inter-school rifle shooting competition. Was she ready for this?
When I went there, they were all able-bodied, kids. And some of them were even senior to me. And I was so nervous. I was like, I don't want to do this, It was the first, something new for them also, seeing someone shooting on a wheelchair. So they were also everyone was staring, and they were very interested to know how my shots were going. And then when we got the results, I won a gold in that event, so beating other kids. So that's when I thought, okay, I can do this.
It was also at this time that she read a book that she says really inspired her, the autobiography of Abhinav Bindra, the Olympic gold medalist rifle shooter. Back when Avni read his book, he was the only Indian to win an individual Olympic gold.
So I also wanted to be someone first female from India to win a gold. Because everyone was like, no, there's no medals from females in Olympics.
When did you read this book? When you were
in 2015.
Well, then itself, so you had it set in your somewhere in you that you wanted to do this.
It is, it's not only me. Anyone who starts any sport, the first thing they think about is that I want to win how to be there at the Olympics. I want to represent India at the Olympics or the Paralympics. And it is something that the dream is always there. Even when you're starting today, it's just there.
Avni was 13 when she read the book. 13. And what's even crazier is that within 2 years, she won her first international medal at the World Cup in Dubai. So clearly it wasn't that unrealistic a goal after all.
There were a lot of 2016 Paralympics medalists. There was gold medalists from the 2016 Paralympics, and we all were competing in the same final on my debut World Cup itself. And I So the one who won the gold in the Paralympics, she won the gold in that event as well, and I won the silver. And it was a neck to neck competition. And that day, I felt like, I could have won the gold. And I was like, I want to do this. If I can come like here and I can represent my country, I can travel the world on wheels, I can easily win this, and I can, win a medal in Paralympics also. And it was from there, I felt like super motivated to do something for the country. And, the winning the gold medal in Paralympics was a dream from before.
This was the same girl who just a few years before wanted to quit because she was worried the rifle was too heavy for her. She had come a long way in a very short time. In 2018, Avni represented India at the Asian Games. It is mind-boggling how swift her rise as an athlete has been. At the Asian Games, for the first time, Avni saw many athletes just like her, using wheelchairs.
And that was so shocking, like beautiful for me to see a lot of people like you, because from where I am, or like anywhere, you don't see that much people, like people on wheelchair or have some kind of disability. And when you see like this large amount of people all together, you feel like, okay, this is where I belong.
The Asian Games didn't pan out well for Avni. She didn't win any medals. In fact, 2018 was an especially difficult year for her. She participated in 4 international tournaments and didn't win a medal in any of them. This was the first time she had suffered back-to-back losses. What if she couldn't qualify for the Paralympics?
It was so depressing. Like the 4th international match of that year, I said I don't want to do this, and I want to leave shooting, and I want to focus on my studies, because that was the year I was in 11th standard, and it is a very crucial year for any student.
Avni felt sapped physically, mentally, and emotionally, and she was again ready to quit rifle shooting altogether.
When you win a medal in your first international itself, you have a lot of expectations from yourself, and the people around you, they also have a lot of expectations.
She felt she wasn't good enough, and the pressure was getting to her. Eventually, her parents stepped in. Failure is often inevitable, and it didn't mean that she should quit. They encouraged her to stick with the sport. They felt that if she persevered, she could one day actually achieve her dream of winning the Paralympic gold. In fact, the only way to find out if her dream could come true was to continue doing it.
My parents are more into shooting than me. Like, they want to know every detail. They want to know about how my practice went, how I'm shooting, what I'm feeling. Like, they are so much, like, my mom travels with me in every match.
In many ways, it's partly because her parents are so invested in her success and her career that Avni has been able to stick to rifle shooting and even excel at it. And their combined efforts have borne fruit. In 2019, Avni got the news that she had qualified for the Paralympic Games in Tokyo. The Games were a year away, and Avni's joy knew no bounds.
So I had like 1 year before that, and I was like working very hard, and I was like, I wanted to go there. And the most important thing is I wanted to go there and experience that whole thing, because it was my first Paralympics.
But then another roadblock was just around the corner. The COVID pandemic stalled everything.
But then when we got the news in around March 2020 that it's like, now it's postponed, and so the first thing which came was like, please don't cancel it, because then it was kind of heartbreaking.
This time though, she was quick to pick herself up. She decided that she would use the time to train better. I guess rifle shooting, as with any sport, also involves training the mind, and this means sorting through not just the anxieties related to the sport, but the anxieties in life in general.
So when I look at the target, I feel calm. Sometimes I feel like my focus is going on this course. So I try to, shake my head a little bit and, get back on the process. Plus, it's not only about target, it's about your inner position as well. You have to constantly, shot by shot, like you have to repeatedly do the same things. How to hold the grip, how to put the cheek, everything should be same efforts, mentally, physically. Then only you can repeat the same scores. So that is something you have to, you have to work on your mental training part. Like you have to close your eyes and imagine how your inner position is without the rifle itself. Close your eyes, imagine it. Try to shoot while your eyes closed. And if you can shoot while your eyes closed, you can easily shoot when your eyes are open.
Sitting opposite Avni and listening to her talk about aiming with her eyes shut really moved me, because it was such a remarkably profound thing for a 20-year-old to say. After a year of intense preparation and hard work, Avni headed to Tokyo for her first Paralympics. There were world-class facilities for athletes, accessible ramps, washrooms, training facilities. It had everything. Before any shooting event, Avni likes to listen to music. She says it calms her down and helps her get into the zone and focus. But there's also something else that happens before every event, an annoying sensation in her stomach. Generally, it starts an hour before the competition.
For the Paralympics, it started 1 week before. I had constant stomach. It's not even pain. It's like, I don't know.
Butterflies.
Yeah, butterflies. And before Paralympics, I also had this thing going on where I couldn't sleep at night. Overpressuring, I don't know what. But I used to have like 3-4 hours sleep maximum. I used to sleep around 12, sometimes 1, and I had to wake up around 5 for the yoga and all that. So I couldn't sleep. And it's not like even if it's an off day, I used to wake up so early. I just couldn't sleep. I tried everything that's possible. I like warm milk, going on walks before sleeping and all that, but nothing like worked.
It was the morning of the qualification round. Out of the top 10 athletes, 8 would go to the finals. Avni took a long breath and went to the field. It was a tough game, and luck wasn't entirely on her side. But Avni managed to scrape through, coming 7th.
It was the worst performance of like that 6-7 months, and everything was going so bad. My qualification was so bad, and that's what happened when you reach your fatigue level. No, when you feel like, okay, everything is bad already. Now what worse can happen? I'm already 7th. Now I can come 8th. Like, what worse can happen than that?
The important thing was that she qualified for the finals. The gnawing feeling in the pit of her stomach wasn't going away, and her mind was agitated. But Avni pulled herself together and went back to the field for the finals. The first competition was the 10-meter air rifle tournament. Dressed in a black jacket, grey pants, a black visor, her hair tied in a low pony, Avni placed her rifle in position. She got ready to take her aim. A small Indian flag was painted on her jacket's arm next to the letters of her name, AVANI. Competing against her were China's Zhang Cuiping, Ukraine's Irina Shetnik, and Slovakia's Veronika Vadovikova. All 3 of them are considered among the world's best and the sharpest shooters of the game. This was the SH1 event, which meant the competitors in this event had to support the rifle with their hands without the help of a stand. Avni took the lead right from the first round, that is, the first 3 shots. The air was charged with nervousness, and the silence between the shots was deafening. Then came the second round, and Avni maintained her advantage. And then, finally, it was the last round. One of the commentators spoke about how calm Avni looked, how confident she appeared as she prepared to take her shot. Avni scored 249.6, creating a Paralympics record and equaling the world record. The question was, would her competitors beat her score? Slovakia's Veronika Vadovikova got to 206. Ukraine's Irina Shchetnik scored 227.5, and China's Zhang Suiping 248.9, which meant Avni had won the event by 0.7 points. So close, but Avni was the Paralympic champion. She was only 19 years old, and that meant that she was the youngest Indian ever to win a medal in the Paralympics. The previous record was held by Mariyappan Thangavelu, who was 21 when he won gold at the Rio Paralympics. Avni's dream had come true 7 years after she reluctantly took up the sport. A few days later, Avni also won a second medal at the Games, a bronze, in the 50-meter air rifle competition. History had just been created for India at the Paralympics. A dream that began at 13 had finally come true. I had followed Avni's win in the news, but now that I'd heard her backstory, it had a whole new meaning. And I think Avni herself summed it up beautifully when she said, life consists not only in holding the right cards, but in playing those cards that you hold well. Today, Avni says it doesn't feel like she chose shooting, but that shooting chose her.
And when I hold the rifle, I feel like I'm in the zone and it is a part of my body, and it just, when I hold it close, everything feels right.
I asked her if she had to go back in time. Would she want to change anything about her life?
No. I don't want to change anything. People ask me this question because, they want to know, like, if I want to change the accident part. But yeah, sometimes I feel yes, but then sometimes I feel that India wouldn't have a gold medal in like Tokyo 2020 Paralympics. So whatever happened for a reason. And now when I see a lot of people looking up and saying, because of you, we didn't give up, and I am not giving up. Even if one person is inspired, that is the real success for me. And I have seen, like, I used to cry a lot after, my bad matches or my failures. But then every tear had made me learn a lot. And, every time I used to go back and I used to write in my diary that, okay, this has gone wrong. I will do something else next time, and I will improve myself. So that's like from little by little trial and errors, I got here, and now I don't want to change anything.
There's no doubt that I'm one of those people that Avni has inspired as well. Listening to her story today, I feel all of us try to avoid trials and errors in our life, and yet they're inevitable. And in fact, they're here to teach us and how to improve and better ourselves. In the next episode of Kalki Presents My Indian Life, when he was a child, Ariva was punished at school for a song he sang. Little did they know that one day, young people in Tamil Nadu will look up to him as their music icon.
If a privileged person has a very bit of a talent, he will just have a small piece of a talent. They will enlarge it, they will zoom it, and they will show it to the world. But if an oppressed caste guy or if a person from a underprivileged background has some amazing talent, like they won't be accepted here easily.
Kalki Presents My Indian Life is an All Things Small production for the BBC World Service. I hope you've been enjoying listening to Season 3 so far. We've had many episodes already out, and I hope you get the time to check them out too. If you liked this podcast, please hit the follow or subscribe button on your podcast app. You can find us on BBC World Service on Twitter and Facebook, or use the hashtag MyIndianLife with your comments and suggestions. Thanks for listening.